Okay, so this digital prototyper thing, it's everywhere, right? You sent over some stuff from RoleCatcher, and, well, they seem pretty confident calling themselves the platform for this whole career path. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, digital prototyper, it does sound kind of, I don't know, like you need to be fluent in code or something. But the stuff they sent, it's different.
Right, like it's more than just tech skills.
Way more. It's like bridging the gap almost between, the art of fashion design and then like the manufacturing side, the
Yeah.
technical stuff.
Oh, I see what you mean. So taking something like, I don't know, traditional paper patterns
Right.
and turning them into something computers can use,
Hmm.
factory machines.
Exactly. It's actually pretty complex when you get into it.
Sounds like it. Almost like magic. Haha.
It's more about precision, honestly. So essentially, a digital prototyper, they'd take those paper patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'd put them into usually CAD software
Yeah.
to create these digital blueprints.
CAD software. And just for anyone listening who's like, wait, what? What does CAD stand for?
Oh, good point. It stands for computer aided design. So imagine like an architect's drafting table, but digital.
Okay, I'm getting it.
Instead of buildings, it's clothing patterns
Yeah.
that you can change and test out virtually.
So no more pinning fabric and making tons of prototypes by hand.
Exactly. That's part of why it's so cool. And this is where it gets interesting. RoleCatcher really emphasizes it's not just like a remote job. You're not by yourself in an office or whatever.
Yeah.
They describe it as pretty hands-on, actually. Yeah, you're on the factory floor working directly with designers, even getting your hands dirty, testing if designs will actually work.
Wow, that's not what I was picturing at all.
Yeah.
So we're talking creativity, technical skills, but also being able to like really collaborate in a fast-paced environment.
Exactly.
Did RoleCatcher get into the pros and cons of this career path at all?
They did, yeah. And they didn't sugarcoat it. On the plus side, huge potential for problem solving, being at the forefront of fashion and tech, and honestly, a lot of potential for career growth, especially because it's changing so fast.
Yeah, I can see that being a big draw. Always learning new things, pushing the boundaries.
Right.
But what about downsides? Anything in the RoleCatcher stuff that gave you pause?
One thing stood out, the competition. Because it is still a relatively new field and everyone's talking about it, it's going to be competitive to land those top jobs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any new career path that's blowing up is going to have a learning curve for people trying to break in. Did they give any advice on standing out in a job market like that?
They did. And this is where the continuous learning thing comes back in. What's cutting edge today might be outdated tomorrow. So you can't just rely on what you already know. You got to keep learning to stay ahead of the curve.
So it's not just about knowing the software then. You have to like constantly be learning new stuff.
Right. It's like what they were saying about 3D digital prototyping. That's huge.
Oh yeah. Instead of flat patterns, you're making like virtual clothes.
Yeah, and you can rotate them, drape them, even simulate how they'd look on a moving body.
Wait, seriously? On a moving body? That's wild. It's like a virtual fashion show before you've even like
I know.
sewn anything.
And the level of detail you can get is insane. Way better than traditional methods, for sure. The RoleCatcher had this example about athletic wear and how they're using this tech to like perfect the fit so the clothes move right with you no matter what.
That's so cool. So we're not just talking about digital versions of clothes. We're talking about
Right.
simulating how they actually work in the real world.
Yeah. And that takes some serious software and skills. It's beyond just regular pattern making.
Definitely. Did RoleCatcher name any specific programs that are big in this 3D space?
They did, yeah. CeeLo 3D and Browseware were two they mentioned. Plus skills like 3D modeling, textures, even animation.
Wow. So someone coming from a traditional background would have to like really level up their skills to get into this 3D stuff.
Oh, for sure. And RoleCatcher actually talked about that. Professional development was a whole thing for them. Taking courses, going to conferences, even just connecting with other digital prototypers online.
Oh yeah, to swap tips and stuff.
Exactly. Speaking of connecting, RoleCatcher has that AI interview practice thing, right?
I was going to bring that up. It's like you can have all the skills, but if you can't talk about them in an interview.
It's not going to matter.
Exactly. First impressions and all that. But this AI thing, it's not just like giving you generic tips, right?
No, it's way more in-depth. They have this whole skills analysis thing. Basically, they've looked at tons of job descriptions, figured out what employers are looking for, and then when you make a profile on RoleCatcher...
You tell them your skills, right?
Right, but here's the thing. They don't just take your word for it. They have you do assessments, show your portfolio, even get reviewed by other people.
Oh, wow. So you can't just be like, yeah, I'm amazing at 3D modeling and call it a day. You got to prove it.
Exactly. Which honestly makes the whole platform seem more legit, you know? Then their AI uses all that info to match you with
They're
companies.
actually looking for what you're good at.
Right. And they take your goals into account too, like what kind of work you want to be doing, what kind of place you want to work at.
It's like having a personal headhunter, but with AI.
Right. And they had one more thing. This is what I thought was really interesting.
Okay, what's that?
So, besides the career guide, the interview practice, they have a job board specifically for tech and creative jobs.
Makes sense, but that's not all, is it?
Nope. They say they use AI to predict what skills are going to be in demand in the future.
Hold on, so they can, like, predict the future of jobs, not just what's out there now, but what skills companies are going to want, like, down the line.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, like having a crystal ball for your career almost. And it makes sense, right? RoleCatcher wants people to use their platform long term.
Right.
So they need to know what's coming next.
Okay, but how does that actually work? Do they, like, tell you, hey, this software is going to be huge, go learn it?
It's even cooler. They use it for the job recommendations. So say you're great at CLO 3D,
Mm-hmm.
but their AI is seeing more demand for browseware. They might suggest courses, stuff to get you ahead of the curve,
Oh, that's smart. So it's not just finding you a job now. It's like,
setting you up for the future.
exactly. And in a field like this where you have to keep learning, that's huge. Most job boards, they're just showing you what's already out there.
Right, they're reacting. RoleCatcher is trying to anticipate.
It's a whole different way of thinking about career development,
Yeah.
not just finding a job, but building a career that lasts.
Totally. And it makes you think, right? Like we started with this digital prototyper thing, but
It's bigger than that now.
way bigger. It's about how tech is changing everything. And having tools like RoleCatcher to help you navigate that, that's going to be crucial.
Couldn't have said it better myself. These deep dives, I always learn something, but this one, it's really got me thinking about the future of, well, everything.
Right.
Technology, fashion, how we work, it's all connected.
And the biggest takeaway, don't get complacent. Stay curious. Keep learning, keep exploring, no matter what you do.
100%. So anyone listening, if any of this resonated, even a little, go check out RoleCatcher. Seriously, you might be surprised.
You might even end up at the forefront of a whole revolution in fashion. Who knows?
Now that's a thought to end on. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.